Good morning to each and everyone. For this session, we will be discussing lesson planning, specifically writing detailed lesson plan. So I titled this session Detailed Lesson Plan, Basics and Innovation. But before that, may I introduce to you first myself. I am Ruelito Quijada Damon, the Teacher 3 and Assistant Principal Designate of San Francisco Pilot Central Elementary School with SPED Learning Center. I am a Master of Arts in Education, major in Educational Management with complete academic requirements of Philippine Normal University Mindanao Campus. I graduate also in Guru 21 for gearing up responsible and outstanding teachers in the 21st century by Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization, Innovation and Technology, or SEMEO Enotech. I am a grantee for the Regional Bureau of Research Fund that focus on instructional materials research. I am also a national trained teacher and speaker on critical contents in mathematics for grade 4, national coach in mathematics, outstanding teacher coach in mathematics, a national winner in science abbreviation material, and a coach for mathematics science, coach press conference, or journalism. So for today's session, our focus are the following: the policy statement, lesson preparation, parts of the lesson plan as per DPID Order 42 Series of 2016 with subtopics on writing objectives, assessment, and activities. DLP sample lesson plan formats with different strategies, and detailed lesson plan sample. The policy statement. The DPID hereby issues the guidelines on detailed daily lesson preparation to institutional instruction planning as a critical part of teaching and learning process. These guidelines are meant to support the teachers in effectively organizing and managing the K-12 classrooms to be genuinely responsive to learners' needs. Thus, as a teacher, we need to have this lesson planning in order for us to be, one, to be ready, and of course, to be carefully scrutinize the needs of our learners in every day teaching and learning process. That's why the DPID issued the DPID Order 42 Series of 2016 as the lesson plan guidelines for the K-12 curriculum. Now, in preparation for our lesson, the following are the teacher's need. 1. The curriculum guide. A curriculum guide is a structured document that delineates the philosophy, goals, objectives, learning experiences, instructional resources, and assessments that comprise a specific educational program. Now, for the K-12 curriculum, we also have a curriculum guide in all subjects offered in the K-12 from kinder to grade 12. This K-12 curriculum has parts. One is the content, second is the content standard, performance standard, learning competency, code, and the learning materials. The most complex here is the code because you need to master the code and you have to read it. Okay. For example, we have A1EL Roman numeral 1B-1. So, babasahin po ito, gagawin is, yung A is arts, the subject. Yung 1 is grade 1, the grade level. Yung EL is the elements or the topic. A topic as a whole. Then Roman numeral 1 is the first quarter. B is the week, which is week 2. And 1 is the lesson 1. So, EIEL, thus Roman numeral 1B-1 is arts, grade 1, elements, first quarter, week 2, lesson 1. Second one is the teacher's guide. Teacher's guide contains simple explanation of teaching tools and activities for teachers. So it is good for the newly hired teachers, and it is good also for teachers who are in the field for so long. It is designed for you to use to help learners get actively involved in the learning process, because this teacher's guide is actually a ready-made lesson plan that guides the teachers in everyday teaching needs, at of course aligned with the CG. However, as a teachers, we need to contextualize, because it again depends on the learner's need in our community and in our locality. That's why we need to have our lesson plan. Now, for newly hired teachers and for the teachers who are in the college or interns or EGT, you need to write detailed lesson plan. While the teachers in the field, 5 years teachers in the field which has rendered 5 years or more will not preparing the DLP, but instead they will prepare the what we call DLR, or this daily lesson log. Okay, so again, our decision focus on writing DLP because it's for you, for those education students. Now, this teacher's guide will greatly help teachers and who will become teachers in preparing our daily lesson plan. Next is the learner's material. The learner's material is a set of lessons compiled based on the order. It is vis-a-vis with the curriculum guide and teacher's guide that serves as guide for the learner's everyday learning process. Actually, it's a book compiled in order and aligned with the CG and the TG. Okay. So again, it is useful not only for the learners but for the teachers. Now again, we have curriculum guide, teacher's guide, and the learner's material. But the last one, okay, I think it's very important. Teacher's mastery on the TPCK, or the technology, the pedagogy, and the content knowledge. In other words, it's called TPAP. You need to master this one because as a 21st century teacher, you have to be equipped with the right technology, with the right pedagogy, and a content knowledge. You must master the technology, master the strategy, and master the content you are teaching. With this, you are now ready to write a lesson plan. Now, the parts of the DLP as per DPED Order 42 Series of 2016 as implemented by Republic Act Number 10533, or the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013. The DPED issues the enclosed policy guidelines of the daily lesson preparation for the K-12 Basic Education Curriculum Program. Okay? So, ginawa ng DPED is to have a unique and a standard and uniform format for the teachers. They issued the DPED Order 42 Series of 2016. And now, because you, as intern, you need to align with the DPED K-12. That's why we need to align also the format of the DPED Order 42 Series 2016 daily lesson plan with your lesson plan. Okay, so we need to meet at the center. Okay, now this is the detailed lesson plan, suggested lesson plan format for the K-12 DPED issued DPED Order 42, and this is now the standard which I actually prepared a previous year with the graduates of Xavier College. So this format, we also use this one. Okay, and as for this year, we need to use also this one, and for you to be familiar with the format, so that's why we are having this kind of webinar. Now, as you can see, actually wala namang kakaiba kasi align pa rin ito. However, there are parts that have I added, just like the evaluation. Okay, we will explain why this DPED format has no evaluation Roman numeral, and our format have. Okay, so we will be discussed later. So again, we will be using this format at your right, and that is aligned with the format issued by the DepEd. Okay, so start with the Roman numeral 1, the objectives. Now, these content standards, performance standards, and learning competencies can be found in our curriculum guide. Again, as I said, you need curriculum guide in order to make the LP. Now, this curriculum guide is aligned with our teacher's guide and also with the learner's material. So, hindi po kayo ang mag-prepare nito kasi ikukopya lang po ito doon sa curriculum guide depending on your learning competency. Now, after that, you make your objectives. Okay? Now, for your objectives, it must be aligned also with the content. Kasi po, paano mo gagawa ng objectives kung wala kang content? This content can be found in the again, in your learner's material, can be found also in the curriculum guide. In making objectives, okay, this time we focus on making objectives kasi sasaglitan natin yung making objectives kasi po there are lots of interns that to say masyadong broad yung pagkagawa ng objectives. So we need to have, at least we go back to the basics. Then let's innovate our lesson preparation. Now, for the learning objectives should be brief, clear, specific, measurable, and observable statements of what learners will be able to do at the end of a lesson as a result of the activities. Teaching and learning that has taken place, they are sometimes called learning outcomes. Again, our objectives should be brief, clear, specific, measurable, observable statements. In this part, the upper part are the objectives that are not observable. So, bawal po itong gamitin ng word appreciate, understand, be familiar, know, at learn. Okay? Some of you, I think, use know. So, bawal po ito. Ang gagawin natin is gagawin natin observable objectives. So, from appreciate the beauty of a circuit, magiging draw a circuit design. Diba? You can appreciate the beauty if you can draw. So, more specific is to draw. Understand relativity theory. Instead, explain the relativity theory. Be familiar with the law. More on becomes state the law of gravity. Next, know the process of osmosis. Magiging discuss the process of osmosis. Next, learn about erosion. Magiging create a poster about effects of erosion. So, from not observable, magiging observable. So, more specific at mas measurable yung ganitong mga words. Draw, explain, state, discuss, create. Okay? Now, in making objectives, you have to consider this one. Cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Under cognitive, now, these categories is changed from this kasi iba na ito. Yung Bloom's taxonomy na old ay nagiging ng new Bloom's taxonomy. So, yung evaluation ay hindi na po nasa pinakamataas, but it becomes creating. Yung evaluation nagiging evaluating at nasa second lang pinakamataas. Yung affective is under these categories are receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, characterizing. While psychomotor has perception, set, guided response, mechanism, complex, adaptation, origination. Again, your objectives depends on the learner's need. Now, kailangan po ba na tatlo, cognitive, affective, psychomotor in making objectives? To my own opinion, it is not necessarily have to have these three. Okay, again, it depends on your learner's need. However, mas maganda if you have cognitive, affective, and psychomotor to make your lesson plan, your teaching learning process, your daily lesson preparation much more effective and efficient. Okay? So, not necessarily, but is much more effective and efficient. Now, for cognitives, again, this is new Bloom's taxonomy. Now, again, ang evaluation ay nasa second to the highest na. So, from evaluation, nagiging evaluating na. Okay, so, remembering, ang knowledge ay nagiging remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. In making objectives under cognitive level, for remembering, you can use the word define, duplicate, list, memorize, recall. For understanding, you can have discuss, explain, locate, recognize, select, translate. For applying, you can have illustrate, interpret, sketch, solve, that is applying, write an essay, blah blah blah, solve problem solving in, operate the machine. For analyzing, differentiate, discriminate, examine, experiment, questions, or test. For evaluating, defend, so argue, support, value, evaluate. Maganda ito evaluating for just like if you are having a debate. So, pwede ito, napakataas. Then, ang pinakamataas po sa cognitive, sa Bloom's taxonomy is on creating. So, you can have, pwede rin write, depending on the level of what you are going to do with your pupils. Create, construct, assemble, design, develop. So, if you have that, at least one in your objectives, napakataas na po yun. Pag nakuha yun ng bata, napakagaling ng yung daily teaching and learning process. Kapag yung mayroon kang creating na objectives, then nakuha po yun ng bata. Okay? So, for affective domain, we have naturalization, organization, valuing, responding, and receiving. So, for receiving, sa affective na po ito. For receiving, pwedeng describe, follow, identify, locate, name, point, select. So, pwede itong gamitin. For responding, you have comply, conform, discuss, read, performs, practice, present, read, recite, report. So, if you have reporting, pwede rin report the answers in the class. So, pwede yun. Nagiging measurable po yun kasi meron kang the word report. But however, if you have reporting, you need to have a rubric for that. So, it is pwede yan dito sa yung reporting kasi pwede rin gamitin sa psychomotor part. Again, depending on the types of skills that you wanted to demonstrate in your teaching learning process. For valuing, you have pwede din gamitin yung mga words na under valuing is ito: complete, demonstrate, differentiate, explain, follow, form, initiate, invite, join, justify, study, okay, work, report. Pwede. For organization, pwedeng adhere, alter, arrange, combine, explain, generalize, identify. Itong identify, pwede rin dun sa cognitive. So, pwede rin nandito sa affective. So, ibig sabihin po ay, narito na yung sinasabi ko kanina na yung affective is actually wala na kasi nandoon na siya sa cognitive level kasi yung identify na word kasi is, again, can be used in cognitive and also can be used in behavioral aspects. Okay, for characterization, you have act, discriminate, display, influence, listen. This, the word act, is an action. You can also have this one in your psychomotor part. So, again, you can use word that can be used in psychomotor and can be hit also with your behavior. So, meaning, you are hitting two birds in one stone. So, that's why, napakarami po ng kino-consider with the 3. Tapos yung lesson mo, you have only 3 objectives, but you hit all these 3. Okay? So don't worry if you have only 3 objectives with your lesson, because it depends again with the learner's need, and it depends also on what skills you wanted to demonstrate. Okay? For psychomotor domain, we have perception, set, guided response, mechanism, overt response, adaptation, origination. For perception, you can use distinguish, hear, see, smell, taste, and touch. For set, you can adjust, approach, locate, place, position, prepare. Guided response, you can have copy, determine, discover, duplicate, imitate, inject, repeat. So, ang dami. Mechanism, adjust, build, illustrate, indicate, manipulate, make, set up. So, these words are all measurable, more specific. Okay? Hindi po ito mga broad word. You can use this one in writing your objectives. For overt response, calibrate, coordinate, demonstrate, operate, maintain, adaptation, adapt, build, change, develop, supply, origination, construct, create, design, and produce. So this cognitive, affective, and psychomotor aspects in writing your objectives in your lesson is very, very, very much important. Okay, now this is a sample objectives. The topic is solving problems in direct proportion. So at the end of the lesson, pupils are expected to A. Manipulate colored cutouts in finding missing term in direct proportion. B. Solve problems on finding the missing term in direct proportion. C. Write a one-stanza poem about direct proportion. And D. Demonstrate cooperation in completing the activities. So for A, it is psychomotor under mechanism, using the word manipulate. For B, cognitive, applying. For C, cognitive, creating. So napakataas po, write a stanza poem. Pinakamataas, pag nagawa po ito ng bata within the specific time, so successful po, napaka-success ng yung teaching and learning process. Effective, valuing, demonstrate cooperation in completing the activities. So 4 objectives in one setting. So napakarami na po itong 4 pero kailangan po ito kasi nailagay na natin in your daily teaching. Kailangan in one setting makuha po natin itong lahat. Okay? So detailed lesson plan under content. So Roman numeral 2 under content, nandito po merong code, learning resource, topic, learner's material, and other resources. Okay, dito po lahat. Under po ito ng content. Sa Roman numeral 3, your learning resource. Okay, yung content andito po. Your learning resource andito po. So sa 4, the procedure. Okay, now all DLP has the same format. From Roman numeral 1 to actually to 7 from the DLP issued by the DepEd order. Pero sa gagawin natin is hanggang Roman numeral 8 po ito. Because mayroong evaluation. Lahat po ito is the same format. It varies only here in our procedure because different strategy has different procedures, but the format from Roman numeral 1 to Roman numeral 8 is the same, just like this one. Okay, look at this one. 6 strategy and 4 strategy, different strategy, but the format is the same from Roman numeral 1 to Roman numeral 8. Okay, objectives, content, learning resource, procedure. Under the procedure is iba-iba na. Pero, the same pa rin, yung capital letter A is under preparatory activities in which sa DepEd order is ito yung before the lesson. Okay? Sa atin, letter B, developmental activities, sa DepEd order ito ay during the lesson. Yung concluding activities, sa DepEd order, ito yung after the lesson. As you can see, under the preparatory activities is the same. Drill, review, motivation. Again, drill, review, motivation. In this time, I want you to focus on this format. Now, we have two strategies here, but the same format. Again, yung sinabi ko is, again, lahat po ng gagawin natin sa pag-prepare ng DLP is pareho lang po lahat ang format from Roman numeral 1 to 8. However, nagkaiba-iba lang po dito sa under the procedure, more specifically in letter B. Okay, B to C. Just like this one. This is a jigsaw strategy and a 4A's strategy. Now, from Roman numeral 1, objectives, content, learning procedure, learning resource, procedure, the same lang po lahat. Preparatory activities, sa DepEd order, ito ay before the lesson. Then, B, developmental, ito po yung during the lesson. Yung C, concluding activities, is after the lesson. Now, from preparatory activities, the same lang po. 1, drill, 2, review, 3, motivation, 4, presentation, 5, learning targets. Now, these learning targets, you need to present your objectives because your lesson must begin in showing your learning targets or your objectives, meaning your pupils know already what you are expecting to them to perform. Again, it is called begins with the ends of mind. Kailangan meron na silang path on what meron silang idea on what to prepare and what they wanted to they already have their goal in mind on what to do with your activities. So, under the developmental activities, we have presentation, then 5 learning targets. For jigsaw strategy, kasi yung jigsaw strategy is more on grouping. So, 6 groupings for home group, expert group, then home group again, then processing learning. So, ito yung nagkaiba na po dito yung jigsaw strategy with the 4A strategy. Kasi yung 4A strategy is activity, analysis, abstraction, and application. Itong part na lang po ito, dito lang po sila nagkaiba. Notice with the red one. Dito lang po sila nagkaiba, pero pareho lang po yung format. So, under sa concluding activities, mayroong generalization, application, and checking up objectives or checking up the targets. So, Roman numeral 5, evaluation, assignment, remarks, and reflection. So, pareho lang po yung format. So, hindi po ibig sabihin na ibang strategy is iba ang format. Mali po yun. The same format, pero dito lang po nagkaiba sa under the procedure, more specifically sa developmental activities. Another example, 5E strategy and the collaborative approach. Notice with the green. Tingnan lang po natin, green, red words. Again, pareha lang po, Roman numeral 1 to 8 yung format. From preparatory activities to concluding. Dito lang po nagkaiba sa underdevelopmental kasi yung 5 A's are engagement, exploration, explanation, elaboration, and evaluation. Yung collaborative approach is groupings, small activity, then processing learning. So under the developmental activities, pero lahat po is, tingnan nyo, pareho lang po yung format. Next, this one. Explicit sa Filipino at sa explicit sa English. Ito po yung mga Filipino words na gagamitin. Yung objective po natin is layunin, content nilalaman, learning resources kagamitan, procedure pamamaraan, preparatory activities panimulang gawain, drill pagbati, review, balik-aral, motivation, paganyak. Sa letter B, developmental activities, that is panlin ng nagawain. Presentation, paglalahad, setting up standards, pamantayan. Pagbabasa ng layunin, learning targets. Paghahawahan ng balakid, if you have story, using explicit, pero meron kang story, kailangan meron kang paghawa ng balakid. Kung sa English po yan is unlocking of difficulties. So, yung red po, ito po yung dito po yun nagkaiba sa ibang strategy, yung red. Pero pareha lang po yung format again, no? Sa Filipino, yung explicit is direct panapaliwanag o pagmumuldi. Sa English, ito po yung direct explanation. Modeling sa 8, 9 guided practice, and 10 independent practice. So, pareho lang po. Filipino and English, the same. Oh? Roman numeral 1 to 8. Wala pong pinagkaiba. Okay? Now, the next question is, how to make my lesson or teaching process more encouraging and interactive? So, paano nga ba yung lesson natin is magiging interactive? Again, marunong ka na nito. Okay, sir, alam ko na pong maggawa ng objectives. Alam ko na po rin yung paano gawin yung content, yung learning resources, kasi nandun lang po yun sa curriculum guide. So, meron na po akong mga drill review. Dito na po yan. Ito yung gagamitin ko. Halimbawa, yung 5Is. Pero, ang problema is paano magiging effective and efficient and more engaging yung gagawin mong lesson plan na 5Is. So, anong ilalagay ko sa engagement? Exploration, explanation, and elaboration. That's the next question. How to make my lesson or teaching process more encouraging and interactive? So, papasok na po yung you need to have different styles, techniques of teaching. You need to have a varied activities that caters your learner's need. Halimbawa sa 5Is. So, what kind of activities do I need and how to do it with this 5Is? Or even in different strategy. Paano magiging lively? So, I need to have different activities. So, ano yung gagawin ko? So, kailangan lalabas na dito yung technique ng isang teacher. Yung style. So, you need to have different activities. You can have tiering. Okay, ano yung tiering? Now, tiering is an instructional practice that allows students the opportunity to journey toward grade level standards. Third assignments are parallel tasks provided to small groups of students based on their similar levels of readiness to complete them. So, meaning to say, in other words, itong tiering ay igugrupo-grupo mo yung mga pupils mo para maging meron kang group activities, but in their level of standards. Just like in leveling the standards, or the skills of your learners, we have cognitive and skills. Under this cognitive, you have 3 groups: the advanced, the moderate, and the slow. Hindi kailangan na ang activities mo ay pareha sa advanced and pareha lang sa slow. Kasi ang nangyari dito is, it may be too boring for advanced learners and too hard for slow learners. Kung kailangan ibabari mo yung activity, ito papasok na ang tiering. Okay? So you have 3 groups: enrichment group, reinforcement group, and remediation group. Pero ang gagawin mo diyon sa yung lesson plan na hindi mo tatawagin, okay, class, I make a 3 group. This is for enrichment group, reinforcement group, and remediation group. Bawal po yun. Kasi pag sinabing enrichment group, advanced yun. So, gagawin mo lang is ito yung group 1, group 2, at group 3. Pero hindi nila alam na i-grupo mo pala yung mga magagaling, yung nasa middle, at yung slow. Kasi iba-iba ang gagawin mo, iba-iba yung mga activities na kailangan nilang gawin. Kasi again, kung pareha lang po ng mga activity sa advanced to slow, is pwedeng yung activity mo ay sobrang madali sa advanced at sobrang mahirap para sa slow. For your Another grouping for the skills is you can have, igugrupo mo yung lahat ng mga mag-aaral mo na magaling magsulat, magaling sumayaw, at magaling mag-acting. Pwede rin. Pwede rin magaling mag-drama, magaling sa mga numbers, at magaling gumuhit. Okay? So, I'll give you an example to that. This one. This sample was created by my former student in Xavier. Actually, gaga-graduate pa lamang ata sila. Ginawa po ito ni, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, ni Jimmy Fundar. Okay? So, yung batch po nila, Jimmy Fundar, nila Banyas, at Sir Kenneth, is sila po yung batch na underan ko na principles of teaching. So, ito yung product nila. This is a sample tiered activity in cognitive. So, we have a lesson on grouping of animals according to their habitat in science grade 1. As you can see, there are 3 groups. So, you would say that this is a remediation group, but instead, in your lesson plan, make it as group 1, 2, and 3. For group 1, this is for remediation group. The pupils will place the picture of animals according to their habitat. So all you have to do is to paste this picture of animals to their habitat in land, water, and land. For group 2, or the reinforcement group, so wala na po yung picture, only the words. So paste the name of animals according to their habitat. Land, water, and land, water. This number 3 is land and water. For group 3, the enrichment group, they don't have any choices. So, because they are in enrichment group or in advanced group. So, all you need to do is to write the name of animals according to their habitat. These 3 activities are very much different to each other. As you can see, for enrichment group or advanced group, wala na po yung name at saka picture. For remediation group, picture. For reinforcement group, only the words. And for the enrichment group, they are free to write what animals that they think live on land, water, and land. So this activity is a sample tiered activity under cognitive, in which the lesson is grouping of animals. So all of these, the same lesson but different activities with different levels of cognitive. So this is the sample of tiered activity under cognitive. How about for skills? So this is an example. This is a sample. Again, this is not tiered. This is tiered activities under skills. So grouping of animals according to their habitat, the same lesson but different activities. For group 1, make a 1-stanza poem on animals live in water. For those pupils who love to write. Second group, pantomime animals that live in land. So for those pupils who love to act. And group 3, sing any animal song with action. So for those pupils who love to sing. So different activities but the same lesson. And these tiered activities is under the skills. These are the examples of an activity that you can use in your lesson preparation. What other activities na pwede natong maibutang dito sa atong lesson plan? Aside from tiering, we can also have graphic organizers. Most especially with subject in English, Araling Panlipunan, Science, Filipino, what else? ESP. You can use graphic organizers in your activities. Lalong-lalo na doon po sa part ng procedure. And in different strategies, you can use graphic organizers. So this is a cause and effect. This is for English. This one, introduction, supporting details. This is a fishbone diagram. This is a Venn diagram. You can use this also in mathematics. You can use this in Filipino, in Araling Panlipunan, in EPP. So what else? Other examples? This is one, the team game tournament. So the team game tournament is a very effective activity. This activity is just like a quiz bowl that you are going to group your pupils in different groups. Then they are given an answer sheet. All you have to do is to select or write their answer in a slate-board, and then when your time's up, they raise their answers, and questions will be shown in an LCD projector using computer. Or you can, if you don't have any LCD projector, you can just read with your flashcards. So this is a very enjoyable activity. This is called the team game tournament. After designing your activities, now you can have the activities in your lesson plan. The question is, where does the assessment go? Again, the format of the DPID order series 42 series 2016, wala na po yung Roman numeral 4 na evaluation, because formative assessment or the assessment can be done before, during, and after the lesson. However, to have a standard format that could be used, that you will be used during your internship, we innovate the DPID order 42 format at nilagyan or niremain po natin yung Roman numeral under evaluation. Okay, so we need to talk about assessment. Okay, what is an assessment? Assessment is a systematic process of gathering, interpreting, and acting upon data related to student learning and experience for the purpose of developing a deep understanding of what students know, understand, and could do with their knowledge as a result of their educational experience. Now, this process culminates when assessment results are used to improve subsequent learning. That's why ang gagawin po natin is yung assessment, the result of the assessment is very important with the learners improvements in their skills and their cognitive aspects. Kaya kailangan po natin yung assessment. Now, bakit na sinasabi na ang assessment can be done before, during, and after the lesson? Because there are different forms of assessment. Okay. But before that, let us discuss the difference between assessment for learning, assessment as learning, and assessment of learning. I know that you've discussed this one, but let us bring back those knowledge about basics. Assessment for learning is it enables teachers to use information about students' knowledge, understanding, and skills to inform their teaching. And after that, teachers provide feedback to students about their learning, how to improve. When the teachers use the information about the knowledge they know about their teaching with respect to their students and give feedback to students, ang tawag po dyan is assessment for learning. Again, when the teachers provide feedback sa mga bata about their learning, halimbawa sinabihan mo yung bata na, okay, ito yung pangailangan ng bata based on the result of the exam. J, ito yung result ng exam, so ito yung kinakailangan natin gawin. So that is assessment for learning. Assessment as learning is involves students in learning process. Now, after na sinabihan mo yung bata at the pupils now or the learners now or the students now involved in the learning process, so meron siyang gagawin o meron siyang ginawa, ang pangalan ko dyan is assessment as learning. Okay? The student will self-assess his or her learning with respect to the teacher's feedback sa assessment for learning. So, from assessment for learning, nagiging assessment as learning. Now, saan yung assessment of learning? So, assessment of learning assists teachers to use evidence of students' learning to assess students' achievement against learning goals and standards. So, ang gagawin ng teachers ngayon is to assist the learners using the evidence of student learning and then assess the achievement of the learners after the learner do his or her task in the level of assessment as learning. So, lalabas yung assessment of learning. So, parang cycle din. After assessing, if-feedback ng teacher yung pupils. So, that is assessment for learning. Then, yung bata ay mag-involve sa learning process. That is assessment as learning. Then, i-assess ng teacher on the evidence the student learning about his or her assessment. Yan ang tinatawag na assessment of learning. So, yan yung kaibahan ng assessment for learning, assessment as learning, and assessment for learning. Okay. So, there are types of assessment na there are forms of assessment na sinasabing pwedeng ang assessment ay gagawin before, during, and after the learning process. Okay. So, these are its function. The diagnostic tells us what the student needs to learn. So, magagawa nito before the learning. Diba? Diagnostic. The informative tell us how will the student doing as work progress, and the summative tell us how will the student did at the end of the task. So that is diagnostic, formative, and summative. In the K-12 curriculum, lalong-lalo na in the field, ang recorded lang po sa ating class record is yung summative. Okay? So this is the summative will only be recorded in our class record. This formative will be recorded in a separate sheet wherein it will help the teacher to assist learner, then inform the learner what to do as assessment as learning, then i-assist ng teacher for assessment of learning. Then so, ibig sabihin, yung formative is, ang tatawag ito is yung everyday quiz ng bata. I-record po ito sa separate sheet. Then, yung summative test ay gagawin at the end of the unit or at the end of the week. So, ito po yung i-record sa class record po ng teacher. So, diagnostic, formative, and summative. Now, assessment in the different phases of instruction can be done in assessment can be done in the prior to instruction, during, and after. But for the uniformity of our format in detailed lesson plan, that's why nilagyan po natin ng Roman numeral separate yung evaluation. So, now, what about yung performance task? Kasi ang ginawa natin ito po is paper and pencil, diagnostic, formative, and summative. Paano na po yung performance task? Because in the K-12 curriculum, meron po tayong tinatawag na performance task at meron po tayong tinatawag na mga written task. So, meron tayong mga quizzes, but meron din tayong tinatawag na performance task. At malaki po itong porsyento na to sa pag-compute ng grades. So, pag meron tayong performance task, so you need to have a rubric. So, we will be using analytic and holistic rubric. So, example of this is a holistic rubric. So, this is a sample holistic rubric on understanding the problem. So, meron tayong score 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, then description. So, pwede natin gamitin ito, ang holistic rubric, para madali lang yung rate natin sa activity. Pero mas maganda kung analytic yung gagamitin kasi mas concise yung pagbigay natin ng rate in every activity. So this sample analytic rubric is I made this one in our school in pilot for the new normal. Okay, sa new normal this pandemic, because in pandemic we ought to have a performance task, so we need to have analytic rubric in every performance task. So ito yung na-come up. So we have criteria, beginning, developing, accomplishing, exemplary, for meaning pag quality yung gawa. So, information clearly related to the main topic. It includes in-depth details example. So, that is 4 points. So, ang perfect nito is 16. So, 16, that is equivalent to 100%. So, this holistic and analytic rubric is very much important in our doing performance task. Kasi hindi ka makagagawa ng performance task kung wala kang rubric. Again, you cannot do a performance task without rubric. Under po ito sa assessment. Meaning to say, in your evaluation phase, pwede kang gumawa ng performance task using rubric. Or in your third activities. Remember, in your third activities, we go back to our third activities. This one, you have groupings. Pwedeng gawin mo ito ng rubric. Isang rubric para sa yung rubric na gagawin mo is para sa lahat na, hindi iba-iba, kasi para kang anong tawag dito, you will be spending too much time if you have different rubrics. So one rubric for all, just you can use this one. Okay, you can use this one, analytic rubric. This rubric can be used in group activities that needs rubric, just like your performance task. Okay, so now let us combine what we learned. So from doing the objectives down to the assessment, let us combine with what we learned by using the sample detailed lesson plan. Okay, this one, detailed lesson plan in Science 3 featuring learning task-based method with ICT integration, differentiated instruction, and team game tournament. So, again, by reading this strategy, ang strategy niya ay learning task-based method, in-integrate niya ang ICT, nilagyan niya ng third activities at ang team game tournament. This lesson plan was made by my former student in Principles of Teaching 2. So this is now his output. Okay, so if I was not mistaken, this is made by Jimmy Pundar, one of my student in the Principles of Teaching. All of them made a detailed lesson plan with different strategy. So inassign ko sila ng strategy, then ang ginawa nila ng detailed lesson plan with different, also with specific topic and subject. So ito na po yun. Objectives at the end of the lesson, the pupils are expected to. So mayroon tayong ABC. Under this one are performance standard, content standard, and learning competency. And small letter ABCD, these are now the objectives. Determine the function, tell the proper ways, complete the learning task, cooperate with the group mates. So meron ditong cognitive, mayroong affective, and mayroon ding psychomotor. So ang kaiba lang nito is yung ABC na performance standard, content standard, and learning competency is dapat yung at the end of the lesson is nandito sa ibaba. Okay? So ito lang yung kaibahan. Pero again, it's okay, walang problema. So that is Roman numeral 1, objectives. Roman numeral 2 is the content. This is the code. Look at the code. Roman numeral 3, learning resources, teacher's guide, page 89, learner's material 81. Again, he is using teacher's guide, learner's material, and the curriculum guide. So it's very important. Now, other sources used was laptop, projector, and printed pictures. Roman numeral 4 procedure. A, preparatory activities. Number 1, review. So, wala na siyang drill kasi po ang kanyang subject is science. But, pwede kang maglagay ng drill. Wala pong problema. So, ang ginawa niya, hindi na niya sinali ang drill para makasave po siya ng time. So, 1, review. 2, motivation. So, activities. This is a detailed lesson plan. So, lahat po sabihin ay isinulat. Hindi lang po pwedeng ilagay dito na the teacher will show a picture of a plant. So, kasi meron ako nagbabasa na ang nilagay lang is just like this one. Now, let's get the game. The name of this game is 4 pick 1 word. Then lalagyan niyang the teacher will show a picture of a plants in a 4 pick 1 word. Pero walang nakalagay na picture. So mali po yun. Dapat nakalagay na po yung picture na kung gusto niyong ipakita. So kung ano ang nakalagay dito is yun talagang ang nasa screen ng LCD. So ang ginawa para mas madali ito is i-layout lang po ito sa PowerPoint presentation at saka i-copy paste as picture at inilagay po dito. So mas madali. Okay. Now, next, showing the learning targets. Class, let us now first know our learning targets. So, everybody, hindi po everyone read. So, everybody po ito. Hindi na check. So, everybody, let's read. Number 1, I can determine. So, ang gagawin lang po, ikakopya yung objectives na nandun at ilalagay dito at lalagyan po natin ng icon. Kasi, para po ito sa mga bata. So, I can determine the function of different parts. I can tell, I can connect. So, ganyan po. 3. Letter B, under the developmental activities is presentation of the topic, then setting of standards. Ang ginawa po niya dito is napakagaling kasi gumawa po siya ng strips of paper na ni-pull out at naglagay po siya ng attitude chart. So, this attitude chart is very helpful in your teaching and learning process because this time, the pupils were very attentive because they have this plus minus sign. So, their behavior is controlled by this sign. So, para magiging systematic and manageable yung klase. So, ang ginawa niya ay meron siyang attitude chart for red group, yellow group, and blue group. Next, sa processing learning. Kasi po, yung strategy niya ay learning task-based method. Ang learning task-based method ay meron po tayong learning sheet at saka task sheet. So, under the number 2, sa developmental activities, ang ginawa niya, meron siyang processing learning. So, sheet exploration. Kasi meron nga siyang task exploration at learning sheet exploration. So, this is one. This is the learning sheet. So, ang ginawa again is nilayout po ito sa PowerPoint, copy-paste. So, hindi na po kailangan na the teacher will give a learning sheet pero walang nakalagay na learning sheet. So, kailangan po ilagay yung learning sheet. So, ang ginawa is ganito. So, this is a learning sheet. The parts, ang lesson is parts and function of a plan. So, nandito lahat, parts and function, then guide questions. These guide questions will help the student to understand what they are reading. So, that's why it is called learning sheet. So, wala na po yung panahon na ang teacher ay kailangan niyang mag-discuss lahat. So, wala na pong reason na lahat na ma-check na lesson plan ay puro discussion method. You can use discussion method pero wala na po yung discussion na lahat po ng nakalagay isasabihin ng guro. Obsolete na po iyon. Wala na pong sanang makitang discussion method na strategy na puro discuss. Ang gagawin is puro discussion ng guro. Meron tayong discussion method na strategy pero ang nandun sa discussion method is puro activities na ginagawa po ng mga bata. So, the innovation on discussion method strategy is more on pupils activity, just like this one. So, wala na po yung the flowers, babasahin ito ng guro, tapos i-explain, wala na po. Ang gagawin ng mga bata dito is, they will study this one, they will read and understand, then answer the guide questions. By answering guide questions, they will now understand what is all about parts and functions of the plant. Then checking, then after that, task sheet. Okay? Task sheet is more complicated task than activity than the learning sheet, but it is connected. See? So you can have also, you can add this one, task sheet 1. If you have more time, you can have task sheet 1 and task sheet 2. Okay, but this time wala na pong task sheet 1 and 2 ang ginawa niya, task sheet na lang kasi meron pa nga siyang ibang activity. So next is generalization. Okay, next valuing and applications. So application ang ginawa is nag-tier siya. Okay, meron pong correction dito. Ang lagay niya dito is with the same group class do the following task. Group 1 will do the tier 1. So wala na pong tier 1. Dapat group 1 will do the activity 1. Group 2 will do the activity 3. And group 3 will do the activity 3. Okay, wala na pong tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Okay? So, ito po yung ginawa niya. So, ang tier 1 dapat activity 1 ang nandito or group 1 activity 1. So, match the correct function of its part using a string. So, ano kayang group ito? This is under cognitive, di ba? So, ano kayang group ito? So, you can answer in your mind what kind of group ang kailangan gumawa nito sa group activity 1. This is group activity 2. Again, group activity 1. This is group activity 2. This is group activity 3. Give the function of its parts. So, I think, okay, if you have correct answers, this activity 1 or group 1 is for pupils who needs remediation. Okay. Number 2, this is average, and this is for enrichment for those advanced pupils. So the same pictures, same topic, but different level of activities. Mahirap po itong group ng activity 3. Okay? So, after that, checking of activities. So, ang ilalagay po sa checking of activities is, dito po ilagay yung answer sa part ng students or learners or pupils activity. Hindi po dito sa teacher. Dito po sa pupils activity. Kasi meron pong parts dito sa teacher at meron pong parts dito sa pupils. Now, for evaluation, kasi meron siyang integration ng ICT. So, ang ginawa is, meron siyang quiz game in science. This is now the team game tournament. So, meron siyang ICT integration using the team game tournament. So, ito po yung, ipa-plus po ito, mag-select ng answer yung mga bata, tapos ilalagay, itaas po yung answer sheet. Then, meron siyang ganito, mga icon, if you are right or wrong. Okay? Then assignment, look around your place, observe the plants around you, draw one of them and label the parts of the plant you draw. Then 7 remarks and 8 reflection. Your assignment, okay, can be given by tiering. You can have tiering with your assignment. So, group 1, group 2, group 3. The same with the groups na yung grouping na nandito. Sa yung tiering na ginawa mo, group 1, group 2, group 3, pwede rin yung assignment mo is nakatiring. So, pwede rin group 1, group 2, at group 3. The same group na ginawa mo dito para nakakonect o mas maganda. Okay? So again, the same. Roman numeral 7 remarks, Roman numeral 8 reflection. So anong ginagawa ng remarks? So ang gagawin mo dito is, after checking, lalagyan ng remarks dito, kung sino man yung nag-observe, is lalagyan ng remarks. Kung sino man yung nag-observe is dito po siya magsusulat under remarks. Then yung reflection is dito po kayo lalagay ng reflection after your teaching. Yung remarks again is for the observer, and ang reflection is para sa iyo as teacher. Ito po yung kabuuan ng ating lesson plan. Let's go back para ma-finalize. So, ito po. Okay? So, ito po, Roman numeral 1, objectives, 2, content, 3, learning resources, 4, procedures. Under procedures, we have preparatory activities, developmental activities, concluding activities, then Roman 5, evaluation, assignment, remarks, and reflection. So, again, they have the same format. Nagkakaiba lang po ng numbers dito po under sa developmental activities, considering that iba-iba po yung strategy. So, I have here sample of lesson plans. Magbibigay ko sa inyo ng sample lesson plans na ginawa ng mga past students ko with different strategies. Makikita ninyo na the same lang yung format, pero ang nagkakaiba lang is doon sa developmental activities. So congratulations for being with me for these past hours, and good luck and God bless with your internship. So once again, I am Lito Quijada Damon. Thank you very much and God bless.